I don't even. I've swapped my caps lock key to control, so I haven't used it in 1,000 years. So I forgot about it too.
It's a brilliant idea. I might actually do that. That's a lot.
It's much easier than reaching down for control, especially if you use Vim or something. There's a lot of control commands, so it's nice.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna do that. That's great for gaming.
I'm getting a call. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Is there any problems with me recording this? I had somebody that wanted to kind of see what these meetings were about that wasn't able to make it. Is there any problems with me kind of sharing
that? I wanted to do that. Sorry about that. Yes, so I'm going to record right now. We are recording. Perfect. Thank you for reminding me of that. Thanks, Cheyenne, Drew, Chase, Mike. Awesome. Jason. Great.
Yeah, so this is Jason. We actually use React. We use React daily. We have a large feature development we're doing right now. The two other guys on this call, Richard Devaney down there, and then S. Bartlett. We work together.
Great. Thanks so much.
Yep.
You're saying where you work?
We work at Gen.
Okay. Great. Got a wide range of experience levels, and that's great. That's what I wanted with this conversation, because in order to create a supportive community in Birmingham for React, we do want to provide resources and support for people at all levels. And so that is an important part of this conversation today. Thank you all so much for just taking some time out of your day to talk about this. I've been, just to give you some background on me, I know that I've been hosting these things for a while, but I'm fairly new to development. I was an English teacher for 8 years, and about 3.5 years ago, I decided to totally change careers. I've always been a tech person at my schools, and started learning just HTML and CSS mainly because my students were interested in it, and they got me hooked, and I started learning the summers, and then I got hooked and just wanted to do it for full time. And so I never looked back. I love it. I started at Quanalytics when they first started. So I worked for a small startup and jumped on board with them a little over 2 years ago, and they had an Angular application, and we converted it to React, and I've been developing in React ever since. So I went to an online web developer program with Flatiron School. It was about a 6-month program, and learned Ruby and Rails and JavaScript and React and SQL and a bunch of other stuff, but loved that. Highly recommend that if anyone on this call is looking to upskill or wants to do more learning. But that's where I am, and so I'm still consider myself fairly new, but I've learned a lot working for a startup. I'm the only front-end developer at my company, so support and community is just critical to me. That's why I agreed to jump on board and help organize these events. But I need help. I would love the input that you have and your skill sets and your talents, especially those of you who are experienced web developers and can offer some more guidance and just knowledge around these things. And then also support from your companies. If you work for a company that has a large React team, what can we do? Can we host some events? Is your company willing to put some money behind it and sponsor some lunches or events? Just things like that. So I would love for Birmingham to lead the way in building just a strong React community where we feel like we're getting good education, we're sharing resources, and we're talking to each other. So, so thanks for joining. And that's just a little background on where I'm coming from. I've been hosting these events for a little over a year. I started actually a year and a half now. I started December of 2018, taking these over from David Lorimore with Base. And so just looking for new ideas. And I always want to be innovative and welcome new people and new thoughts of how we can do things differently instead of just keeping on. Let's be thoughtful in the way that we do this. So I'll just start it off with this question. What are you looking for in a React community? What brings you here today? What brings you to these events? What do you want to get out of a React meetup?
I'll start off with that one because I'm probably the newest person here, or one of the newest, and probably one of the oldest as far as having programmed for so long. I've been an MVC developer, C#, started out with VB.NET years ago. And actually when it was Quick Basic, and then it moved to VB, VB.NET, all that jazz. And so the last few years I've been an MVC developer using C#, primarily Visual Studio, SQL Server as a backend. But I'm working with a company now. Actually, I'm part owner of that company. And we have developed some software for the mining and construction industry that's really heavily OSHA and MSHA regulated. And so as that software has matured, I realize I'm not satisfied with it. Everybody else is, but I'm not. And I think it needs to be more reactive, not to play on words there, but the front end needs to be different. And there's a lot of stuff, server calls that can be eliminated, a lot of stuff that can be done differently. And I'm trying to get just involved with a group of people that are using React, because I've found over the years that having exposure to the people that are doing things or getting involved in projects where you have to use it is the way I learn best. And having people to go to be able to ask questions too. That's a big plus.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jim. Totally agree. Just having that community, and thank you for being willing to join us and give your insight here.
Well, sorry about my camera. It's on my laptop, which is on the other side of the room. So,
no worries.
Yeah, I've got everything networked together here, so it's way over there, out of the way.
Yeah. Who else?
Well, I definitely know the last one I came to, the last Lunch and Learn, it helped me a lot. And I think it even probably helped Jeremy and the other members of my cohort that went, just learning hooks. Because we ended up coming across that not even, probably 2 weeks later, we had to start using hooks. So I thought it was great. And I love what you do with it. And I want to keep coming to them just to be able to learn more about React, the basics, and even more advanced stuff. If you don't come across it now, you're going to come across it later. And I feel like that's the best part about this whole thing.
So exposure to new or just concepts that you're going to come across.
Yeah. Old and new, just to know how to fix the old ones or to implement the new ones.
Yeah. When I first started coming, I had just started learning React. And for me, it was like hearing all of this stuff that I would learn later or come in contact with later. And it's like that, osmosis effect. You just let as much soak in as you can. And then it helps later on when you try to learn it because you're at least familiar with the concepts. Right. Lexi posted a better understanding of React, feedback from others who've been using it in their company, advice to new developers, ways to like better utilize and grasp different concepts, network with more experienced developers. Absolutely. So supporting those new developers coming in, I know that we all care about growing development in Birmingham, growing the group of programmers and the talent in Birmingham. That's a huge plus for our city if we can do that. So helping out those new developers and bringing them in, really crucial. And I keep hearing this refrain of taking, older applications or applications that could just use an overhaul on the front end. And React is really fantastic and has such a big community around it. That's why it's so popular, and the fact that it's maintained by Facebook. We know that it's not going anywhere. It continues to be improved constantly over time, and it just has seemed to emerge as more user-friendly, more developer-friendly, as well as just performant in the front-end kind of framework library. We won't get into that debate, but just a really helpful front-end framework to use. Really popular.
Well, I'd like to add, we had our stand-up today, and we got a real nice kudos from our QA group, telling us that they are finding very minimal bugs, and the ones they're finding are very nitpicky, and I attribute that directly to a consistent use of React as our front-end actual framework. So that also another thing to. We come from a knockout background, and knockout, if you've ever used it, is not a. It's what do you call it? Two-way binding JavaScript library, and we are always fighting with state issues there. But with React, we don't have these issues, and so it's been great being able to give something to QA to know that they're not going to really find anything based on state issues, which are the most difficult to solve.
Yeah, that's huge. Thanks, Jason.
I'm a little surprised there aren't more people here that use React or have used React for multiple years.
Well, it's only been around since 2015. So it's a fairly new framework.
Yeah, so I think, I don't know about Shift. I believe they're a React shop. I'm not sure who else, the larger companies in Birmingham use React as well. And it looks like quite a few of you guys are from, I guess, Code Camp or in Birmingham Boot Camp. I like that a lot then.
Yeah. I know Shift, it's been interesting because I've reached out to a few people from Shift, and they do use React. But we just that's part of the reason I want to talk about, what can we do to get more people involved in this React community and willing to invest in it, because it's good for Birmingham. It's good for everybody, and so just getting more. What can we do to make it more appealing, to be more helpful? The last meetup we had a pretty good turnout. The last in-person one that we did, we had some people from Fleetio. We had some, I want to say BBVA has some React developers. Do we have anybody from BBVA here? I think we do. There was a few other shops, I feel like. But I feel like getting their participation would be really important. So if you know somebody that works for Shift, or you have developer friends at bigger companies in Birmingham that could help, lead the way, that would be really great, because having the backing of one of those organizations could kind of help put some good marketing and money behind it. Not that we necessarily need big sponsorship. I think communities and meetups work best when it's kind of that grassroots organized, people are willing to just jump in and participate and help and share knowledge. I know that I've reached out to some people about giving a talk, and I get this response a lot. Thank you, but I am scared to death of public speaking, and we're developers, and so I understand that. And so figuring out, what can we do to share our knowledge, even if we're not super comfortable giving a talk. And I've done one. It's scary as hell. Like, I understand that. But we all have something valuable to share. And I think we don't realize how much we know, especially, just how fast things change, and we all could learn from each other. So just being willing to share and talk about those things that we're trying out, that we've learned the hard way, that could help others. And maybe a talk is not the best format. I've heard feedback about doing some workshop type things. We could even do almost like a book club, but do it around like a video talk or a course, where we all watch the same tutorial or course or something like that, and then talk about it. I love the workshop idea. It's just, we got to have somebody willing to plan it and lead it. So what are your thoughts about, just what kind of formats are you interested in? How do you learn best? Are you here to learn? I mean, we've got more experienced developers that are looking like, I just want a community. I want to be able to ask questions. I want to, just talk to people that, have similar experiences I do, so we can just bounce ideas off of each other. So maybe it's a more informal thing. What are your thoughts?
I wish that there was a good answer for how I learn best when it comes to learning to code. But I feel like I don't even know the answer to that question, especially going through this boot camp, because I have tried so many different ways just to be able to grasp the concept and be able to understand what I'm doing while I'm coding. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what the answer to that is. What is the best way to learn to code? And I think that even on the end of just trying to teach it for the teachers, I mean, that it's just not something easy to teach or explain at times. But yeah, that's a challenge.
And as a former educator, I would say we all learn best by doing everything: listening, seeing, doing. Learning styles are a myth. We all learn best by using all different styles. And so, yeah, it is a challenge. And I think from my experience, it's just forcing myself to just try and do and fail and try and do again. And then there's so many great just people to follow and resources out there, but that can be overwhelming. So what I ended up doing is just picking like 2 people that I really felt like produce great content, and I follow them on Twitter. Dan Abramov, I follow Kent C. Dodds, and then there's a few like CSS people that I follow, and I just kind of use their content. I'll put that in the chat. So Dan Abramov is on the Facebook team at React. He is one of the co-creators of Redux before he joined the Facebook team. He also has this Just JavaScript course free that he's trying out. It's so cool. I've been playing around with. He sends out these like little modules through email, and just to help you understand JavaScript better. And I've been using JavaScript for a while, but there was things that, just little quirks that I didn't really understand. I was surprised. He'd ask a question and I think it was a simple answer, and then I get it wrong. I'm like, oh, that works differently than I think. And so that's been really cool. Kent C. Dodds, yeah, thanks for that, Cheyenne. Does a lot of education. He worked for PayPal for a long time, and then now is just a full-time kind of educator. React to does workshops and does a great blog and newsletter. Constantly learning from him for free, but then he also has some paid content. Rachel, like on her name, Adams. What is her name for CSS? I'll have to look it up. I'll send out some recap. But not to take us off topic, but I think that sharing resources is certainly a huge way that we can help each other. Does anybody have, speaking of which, does anybody have anything that they do or follow or use to help them stay up to date in React?
Most recently, I started a React Udemy course, just trying to get a little more familiar with the languages and the framework, and get used to more of the structuring of it. That seems to help me a little more so, especially with hands-on projects.
Yeah, I like Egghead as far as courses go. That's my favorite course platform. It's just a little bit more curated than Udemy, but I've had some good content there too. React subreddit for sure. Reddit's awesome. It can be really crazy too, but you don't even.
Egg.io is great, and in fact, Dan actually has a course where he walks through creating Redux JavaScript, and it's quite amazing to watch him code and see what he creates, and then understand that that's Redux that he's built. So it's really good.
He puts a lot of content out there. The Facebook team in general, Sophie Albert and Dan, they put out a lot of good content, and they're all from an open source background. So they just have this kind of vibe of wanting to share and help people learn. And that's why the documentation is so good with the React. And I just, whatever we think about Facebook, I think the React team does a really great job maintaining that and just improving it over time as well. Ryan Florence is another person. He came to Birmingham last year and did a workshop at Shipped that was really good. He is co-creator of React Router, now does Reach Router, which we use at Quantalytics. It's a fully accessible router out of the box, and I really like it. That's another good one.
Thank you for those resources. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. What are your... Go ahead.
I was going to say, I do believe you did put one of our alumni through a boot camp when they started with you. Which boot camp did you happen to put them back through?
I didn't put them in a boot camp. Just sent some additional resources that I use. So a free code camp has some great just little quick lessons about CSS and HTML and accessibility, things that you don't always get when you're flying through a boot camp.
Yes.
And Innovate Birmingham is a very fast one. And there's just not a lot of depth you can cover in that amount of time. So under that, and then Egghead courses, there's a one on using the context API on hooks. There are things I use every day. React Podcast. Your learning is never done. You go through a boot camp and then you continue to go through a boot camp. And that's just the reality. If you want to keep up and you want to improve your craft, you have to keep learning every day. And so we hired a former Innovate Birmingham student, and I'm just trying to help support her and her continued knowledge. So it's amazing to me that React has only been out since 2015, and it has already undergone so many changes. And not that we have to go and change our applications to use all the new bells and whistles, but to just keep up and understand how it's changing and how we can use that in our applications if it does make our lives easier or if it's more performant, things like that. And that last talk we did, I thought was really interesting, just a deep dive into hooks and are they more performant? Why would we even use them? And I thought that was an interesting answer that he gave. It's not necessarily more performant. You don't need to go change your whole application, but it is more readable, and there's some certain advantages to having your code just more organized, that co-location that he talked about there. And so I love learning things like that. So when we hear about new things, we can go, okay, is this right for our product? Do we need to do this? Or is this just something we can wait on for a while? And those of us who work at larger organizations, we can't just make those decisions, right? I'm fortunate that I can just, if I want to do something, I do it. And try to be really thoughtful about it, but I don't have to run it up the chain or anything like that. Other thoughts you have about what you want out of a React meetup?
Anybody interested in React Native?
Absolutely.
Yes. We did not get to React Native in our curriculum for Innovate Birmingham. It was on there, but we didn't make it that far.
Yeah, I would love to know the differences between React Native and React.
From my understanding, I'm really glad that Innovate Birmingham decided to focus more on React Web, because I feel like if you learn those concepts, you can learn React Native. Trying to do it the reverse way, I think, is a little bit harder. But I have not had a ton of experience with React Native. But I think doing some specific talks around React Native would be really good because of you have used it.
Yeah. To whoever just asked, I don't know if, sorry, I just got back. Yeah, React Native is essentially you're writing JavaScript and it compiles down to, I believe, Swift for iOS and Java for Android, if I'm not mistaken. I might be mistaken. So you're essentially writing in a web framework to using all the majority of the same stuff you would be on the web. But you're using different HTML elements. You're using more XML tags, like instead of input, you'd be using text field, and it would compile down to Android's input and iOS's input. And it's just a fast, good way for web developers to get more into writing native mobile apps instead of like web views on a phone app,
Great. Thanks, Jordan.
Sorry I missed so much.
Oh, welcome back. So I was also thinking about, just during this time where we've had to meet more remotely, I know that I've been able to attend more meetings and like meetups and things like that because the time, you don't have the drive time. And so I'm able to attend something, at lunch, and it just takes 45 minutes to an hour versus when you add that drive time in and maybe I wouldn't be able to make it because it was across town or something like that. I feel like we could get more of Birmingham developers involved if we maybe did like one month we met in person and then every other month we did a virtual thing, or maybe it's we do a twice a month thing, one that's virtual and one that's in person. Any thoughts around that?
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. If you could do like a micro meetup, and then like an in-person one as well, that would be awesome. Especially once all the COVID stuff is over, I would definitely miss human interaction. That was awesome to see, like the emotion and kind of get engaged. People, it's easy to gauge when you can see, but it's much easier in person if you're used to the old school communication. So yeah, absolutely.
I agree.
And I think the twice a month thing, one doing like this and the other in person allows us to retain it a little better and remember what we were going over and learning too. That's a brilliant idea.
Cool. I think that doing a kind of informal, like just let's get together and chat about questions that we have or things that are on our minds, like what Jason mentioned and Jim as well, just having a community to ask questions to and say, hey, are you experiencing this? If what are you done in this situation? What do you think about this? Could be really helpful. And to put some themes around that too, maybe, doing one that's centered around like new features and functionality and one that's, I don't know, I'm just kind of spitballing things, but I want it to be helpful for kind of everybody at different levels. And so maybe having different events for those different levels and then some where we just come all together could be helpful. Somebody posted in Meetup, don't remember who it was at the moment, but just asking for kind of like a intro to React or React for beginners chat, where we just sort of run through the basics of what is React and how does it work and things like that. So we could do that for beginners.
Definitely. That would be cool. I also feel like, if you're new to React and you find something cool about React, I feel like, you'd be surprised at what someone with more experience doesn't know. So if you find something cool and you have something to talk about, bring it up to someone and be like, hey, Jennifer, do you think this would be a good talking point, or just even if the talking point is just your experience learning about that specific thing. I remember one talk about one React Lunch and Learn talk, I think it was almost a year ago, of someone who was just explaining how he learned something and how it helped him comprehend different parts of React better that he didn't know before, or he knew but he didn't really comprehend. So if you think something's cool and you had fun learning something, giving a talk on that would be awesome.
Yes. And that's really where I need your help as a community, just being willing to share, offer ideas and suggestions. You don't have to be an expert. If you are a longtime developer, we could certainly use your input as well. And I think it takes a village. It takes all kinds to have a great, thriving community. So, I'd love to know if any of you would be interested in just helping me organize these meetups, helping, reach out to other developers, help spread the word, help, generate excitement for this and participation. That's, I think, the biggest thing that we need right now. I working for a startup and being the only front-end developer, I feel like I'm just swamped a lot and want to do more and certainly care about this community, but I can't do it alone. And so I would love your help with that. So if you would like to help me out, please let me know.
Yeah, definitely. I think one way that we could get more people involved, whether it's just the people who are here or it is kind of like a opener headliner situation for the talks, like kind of have, or maybe like a smaller talk before, like like more than one speaker per lunch and learn. But then again, the lunch and learns are over lunch on a work day, so it's kind of hard for everyone to take more time out of their day. But maybe that can be like a once a month thing where you have a couple different speakers or a few different speakers, and they can share their their talk, and maybe that can be over a weekend or after a Friday or something like that. And then still have the regular React Lunch and Learn in the middle of the week or in the middle of the month or something. One that makes sense to have over lunch and it doesn't go too long, but have more of a less rushed meetup maybe once a month, whether it's a weekend or after hours or something.
Yeah. They're great ideas, Jordan. I like the idea, if I'm understanding correctly, of like the micro talks almost, of like that way it's not so overwhelming of like I've got to talk for an hour about something, but maybe it's just a quick, hey, I've been using this library and I really like it. Let me show it to you, or whatever the case may be, just a quick, or it's a pattern or something like that. And then having a less rushed time to do that. I wrote both of those things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I know that a lot of very entry level developers, as well as experienced developers, come to these things, and it's also a good opportunity to be like, after the talks, have a quick chat and be like, hey, what's something I can be focusing on that my boot camp didn't prepare me for? React things that you're not going to learn in well, you can learn most things in documentation, but from tutorials and from Blank that would help me in the job. Like Jennifer, I remember when I was in the class like a couple years ago, you were saying that like none of the boot camps teach about testing. None of them do. You know, like not just Innovate Birmingham, not just this one or that one or Covalence, but it's like they don't have time. So maybe like I feel like there could be a good React testing library talk or something like that at one of those, like small, as the main talk. And then since that sounds like it would take a little more time, then just a couple other, hey, let me share this library that and we can decide on them before the actual lunch and learns. People can submit their ideas and like vote on them, or just just use whoever submitted ideas. I don't know. I'm bad at words.
I love it. That's really good.
Speaking on the old talking with each other thing, whenever we do these, something I thought was great about the Anvil thing we all attended, well, some of us attended yesterday, is after the presentations, they did breakout rooms, and they just put up 80 people into these small little breakout rooms of 3 or 4 people and just let them chat and talk and get to know each other. And that'd be a great thing to do too while we're doing it remotely and have to do it on here. Just give us some one-on-one with each other, meeting new people, continue the networking thing, and ask questions that way.
Love it.
Yeah, maybe even like a separate Slack, not just a channel in Magic City Tech, but like Birmingham, like specifically React community. If you're really wanting to hone that, I'm on the belief of like abstracting the framework out of it and kind of like having like trying to have a baseline knowledge of all the front end frameworks, but having a specifically React community and diving into it will help people like understand the concepts better, which carry through Angular and Vue and everything. So
Shortening the curve. Yeah, that's a great
Love
idea.
that idea.
I think you could probably also you could go through some of these tutorials that are big and popular that people like, but maybe they're not the most straightforward, and you don't even have to have somebody who comes up with their own thing to present. It's just the group going through this together and being able to ask questions and stuff. I think would be pretty helpful for people.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's cool.
So like the book club idea that you had mentioned, there is a tutorial, an online tutorial learning some concepts or concepts in React. Multiple people would go through that, but of course everyone will have questions, but just to discuss it afterwards, figure out where people stumbled or where they had that aha moment or something like that. That format seems to be a little better for me than the React Lunch and Learn. And I've only been to one. It was at the Fetch office. And it was a lot of information about a very specific use of books, I think. But without a basis on, the application itself, it was difficult to follow. And at the end, you don't really have an understanding enough to really ask any questions that would be helpful. But something like a tutorial covering hooks or context or something like that, that multiple people have been through, get together, talk about what they learned or where they may have had issues. Seems to be a good format.
Thanks, Jason. I totally agree. I felt that way about several of our talks, that they were so specific that, you get a lot out of it if you've used it or if you're familiar enough, but it's hard to have a conversation about that. And I love the tutorial idea. I know when I was an educator too, this worked really well with my students, is if I gave them something to watch and then we talked about it, everybody can watch it at their own pace. They can, watch it as many times and let things sink in and look up things. And then we can come together and really be prepared to ask each other questions and have a better conversation, a more fruitful conversation about that. I love that.
And I know we
Hey,
talked
sorry, go ahead.
I know we talked about the Magic City Slack, that one for the Magic City Tech. Is there any other online repositories, like a blog or a website or anything else that we may have here for this specific meetup? Any other resources maybe that I may have missed?
When you say resources, just mean ways to communicate, or
ways to communicate, plus to cover what the previous topics were. Maybe if we're not able to attend one of the previous meetings, something like that. I like the fact that this is being recorded and that could be appropriately disseminated for somebody that probably couldn't have made this meeting or wanted to be here but couldn't for any other reasons. But is there any other resources there to act as repositories for those types of informations?
So on Meetup, you can see past events. I don't know how far back that goes. That's just what we've been doing so far, is just posting the links and resources on the Meetup page itself. Slack is hard because since Birmingham doesn't have the paid version of Slack, we lose all that content after a certain period of time. And so I do love the idea of trying to have a better place for us to keep a record of our talks and notes to follow. And that could be as simple as a shared document, shared spreadsheet, or something like that.
Yeah, that could even be if you're going to give a talk, or we could have volunteers transcribing a talk, as long as they get screenshots or something like that from the speaker. Or if you're going to give a talk, kind of keep a markdown notes file that you can easily make a blog with about it, because you can easily have the code snippets in there looking all purdy and GitHub like. So that would be a really easy way to handle that, I feel. And as far as hosting it, we can do kind of a community static site, like a Next.js site or something like that. That would be fun.
Yeah, pretty fun to build.
If Slack, because if we do the Birmingham React community Slack thingy, I feel I don't even know how much it costs to pay for premium Slack or whatever, but I know that I doubt that we would hit that many messages that soon. So for the time being, it would be easy to kind of just throw those markdown files in Slack, or just type up or share a link to the talk or something like that. Because Magic City Tech is different because it's huge. But I don't think that such a microcosm of it would actually go over those limits and start deleting old messages. That's one of those bridges we can cross when we come to it.
Yeah, we were talking about doing kind of more some hands-on workshops, and that could be something that we could build together as a website to host our notes and build it in React, and that could be a fun project for us to do as well, and part of our learning. I'm going to kind of wrap up or summarize what we've talked about and talk about some action items, and then I'm going to let Amber talk a little bit about a really awesome way for you to get involved in the Birmingham community on a volunteer basis, something that that I participate in and have really loved the past 2 years. But some things that we talked about, and if you hear anything today that you think, I'm really good at that, I could help with that, then that is your cue to jump in and get involved, because we all have something that we can share and help with. So we talked about doing kind of a tutorial book club where we watch a video or watch a course and then meet and talk about it. I know the UX Meetup does a book club like that, and that could be really fun. Most of these courses that I find are, a few hours or so wouldn't take as long as maybe reading a book anyway. We talked about having some virtual events and some live events, some newbie-friendly events that are specific for kind of beginners in React. Talked about doing some after-hours or weekend events that were a little less rushed, maybe more networking time, more time for micro talks or sharing just quick little nuggets of wisdom that we've had that might be less overwhelming than trying to prepare for and give a full hour talk. Some things that you guys are interested in, just being exposed to certain things in React that you might not have come across yet, having a community to ask questions to, and to just be able to talk to and bounce ideas off of. And then I love the idea about breakout rooms for virtual networking and just chatting. I'll have to investigate that to see what technologies that we could use. So please reach out to me on Magic City Tech Slack or by email. I posted it in the chat, but I'll also follow it up. You can also email me directly from Meetup or message me on there, so you can get in touch with me in lots of different ways. And just let me know, maybe you don't even know how you want to help yet, but you just know you want to help, and just let me know and I'll add you to my list. But I'm going to turn it over to Amber. She's the regional director for the TEALS program here in Alabama, and she's going to tell you about it. I volunteer with TEALS, have for the past 2 years. Love it. Great way to get involved. So, Amber, tell us what you got.
Your mic is muted, Amber.
Okay. Can I?
You're no longer muted, but connection isn't great.
Don't.
So, Amber, we can only hear about every other word. It seems like the connection's a little spotty.
Uh-oh. Is it better?
Yeah, I think those headphones might have like a noise gate or something.
Oh.
You might need to put the mic a little closer. I'm sorry.
Okay. Is this okay?
Oh, that sounds much better.
Oh, good. Okay. Glad to hear it. So, I don't know why. Let's go back. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly run through this information. If you've never heard of the TEALS program, it is a part of Microsoft Philanthropies, and it's just they pay for it, but it's not. We don't make anybody use Microsoft stuff. It's all open source and free to schools. So that's my disclaimer at the front of it. I'm the regional manager for the state of Alabama, and so I basically recruit all of you lovely people who have these skills to go into classrooms and help teach computer science. And so generally speaking, all of our classes are during first period in the morning time, so you can do it before going to work. And we provide the curriculum, so you're not making up your own lessons or anything. You're prepping from pre-made lessons that you and the teacher and the other volunteers can modify if you see fit, but it's already pre-made for you. And then you have a community of teachers and volunteer industry professionals working together, which is the marriage that we all want to see when it comes to computer science education. So the volunteering options are to, you can volunteer remotely, which we actually in the state of Alabama will have 14 to 16 schools that will be partnering with us remotely, meaning that you would teach from your home or office or anywhere with an internet connection and a device using a platform called Neuro, and you can see it on the screen in that picture there. Magnum. He lives in Kansas City, volunteers in Texas, and he is a very active volunteer. And it's very interactive. It's not like lecture based or anything like that. It's very hands-on, and the kids are doing projects and making games and things like that. And then in the remote model, we also have the option to visit your remote school. So if it's far away, so if you're, for example, going to be volunteering at Gunnersville High School, then we pay for pay for the mileage and your hotel and everything like that. And the same would be true if you lived in San Francisco and you volunteered in Alabama. We would pay for you to come visit. And then we also have lots of in-person opportunities where you drive to the school, teach for an hour with the teacher, and then go on to work. So these are the schools where we will be next year. So we've expanded a little bit. I believe it's 25 schools that we have now. So a lot of them are going to be partnering remotely. So you will, and then we don't actually know what school will look like in August. So it could be that they're all remote. But there are lots and lots of options, whether you live in Shelby County, Hoover area, Gardendale, downtown. We're everywhere. And so if you're interested in doing this, you can always contact me at amber@tealsk12.org, or you can get more information at microsoft.com/teals, and that's also where the volunteer application lives. And so the sooner you apply, the more preference you get in terms of the school that you want to be at. So if you have a particular school you're interested in, it'd be good to go ahead and apply. And then if you can't volunteer, not everyone can, check us out on social media and share it to your network. That's a really helpful thing as well. So I appreciate y'all letting me take a few minutes of your time. And I am definitely available, via email anytime to answer questions.
Awesome.
Thank you, Amber. I really encourage everybody to get involved in that program. It's so rewarding, and it's also just a great way to. I've learned a lot too, just doing that program. So the last thing I want to do is I have 4 Uber Eats gift cards to give away, and our sponsor Trend Micro is providing these, and they just picked randomly from our participants. So I don't know what that was, but
I think the audio is coming through your microphone a little bit.
Can you hear
A
me?
little bit of echo. There you go, much better.
Strange. I don't know what I did, but so I'm going to. Did y'all hear that? Did you hear me for the most part?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I heard you. Yeah.
Okay, great. So Justin Nelson just posted in Slack about that Trend Micro is providing these, and he just randomly selected from our participants. And so here are the winners: Jason, Lexi, Cheyenne, and Mike. Congratulations on your Uber Eats gift cards. If you do not want them, let us know and we'll pick somebody else. But
need your email addresses to send
yes.
because it's all digital because we're not touching anything.
Yeah. So if you'll just you can post your email addresses in the chat, or you can send them directly to me privately if you would like. However you'd like to do that, and we'll get them to Trend Micro. Thank you all so much for joining us, and I have taken good notes, and I'm going to type them up and follow up with kind of our thoughts. And again, please reach out to me if you would like to help in any way. Let's make this community the envy of the Southeast, and I know that we can, and it'll help Birmingham as well. We want our tech scene in Birmingham to thrive, and I know that we can do that. So thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful, lovely weekend. Stay safe. Stay indoors. See you next time.
Bye, everyone. See you later.
Jennifer, don't end the meeting yet.
Okay, I won't. I won't end until we get the email address. And I'll hang on to. I'm going to leave it open. If you have just something you'd like to chat with me about, I'll leave it open for a little bit longer.
You have all the power.
Also, yeah, if we make a Slack group specifically for this, you can have video calls and screen sharing directly from Slack too. So if it's for students in a boot camp or it's just for, hey, I'm running into this problem, you can easily just start a group chat call or have like a kind of town or kind of like a channel. If you're a part of that channel and you call it, anyone from that channel can join. So there can be kind of a help or just chatting channel specifically for this stuff. So, and I feel like if we did that in the Magic City Tech Slack, it's going to be a lot of people trying to talk about Agile all the time, which is great, but not always relevant.
You could also look into Discord if you're worried about chat history and stuff.
Yeah.
If you want chat history for this, so long as you keep it public, there's a text file that it saves, and then on the cloud recording, it keeps the chat the entire time with the times, so you can see how the chat aligns with the video.
Oh, you're talking about with Zoom?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Discord, so everyone's going to know my gaming name.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a fan of Discord a lot.
Okay. That's good to know, and we can do it wherever. Jordan, do you want to kind of head up that and investigate like a platform and create a space for us?
Yeah, if the majority is down with Discord, I'm down with Discord. So I can that's a very good idea, Drew.
Yeah, I like it. Let's do it.
Hey, Mike, you're the last person that hasn't given me an email.
If you would like your Uber Eats gift card, Mike, send us your email address.
I'll take 2.
I've made the same ramen every day, and I was just like, I was thinking, man, what would I do with the Uber Eats gift card? And I was like, man, I just kind of want my ramen again. So all this talk about Uber Eats, I'm literally after this, I'm gonna go make some spicy gochujang ramen, and it's gonna taste literally good for eating.
Good. So Mike may not be available.
Well, if not, we might have to pick Jordan.
He doesn't want it.
I'm gonna make ramen anyway. Let's see.
And the randomness helps out when you have your first and last name listed. So just FYI, if you want to get picked for things, put those names.
Yeah. Bye, Amber. Thanks for all the info. She's in the chat now. Oh, she's not in the video chat anymore, so she can't hear me.
Amber is fantastic, just as a person, and Teals is great. Big fan of Teals.
So I was thinking, I know we're about to get off of this and everything, but a talk that I've been thinking about getting, if I can get less busy, that's the reason I haven't been involved in the people in this group chat who are in the Innovate Birmingham class. I used to be much more involved with the classes and tutoring and stuff like that, but my job has been so wildly busy that it's been like 4 or 5 all-nighters a month, so it's been busy. But whenever this lets up a little bit, I was going to give a talk for React people, but about the concepts of React that carry over to other things, like this set state that re-renders everything, blah blah blah, the lifecycle hooks everything. But what does that look like in Angular? Because if you don't have a job quite yet, you want to market yourself not as a React developer. You want to market yourself as a developer. So even though I'm partial to React personally, even though I've professionally worked with React and Angular and some other things, but I love React. So if you can dive into React and learn all the as many of the concepts of front end frameworks as you can, I feel like that would be huge. So we can go into I don't know if you guys are using Redux in the class. That might be a little outside of the scope of a 3-month period, but what does Redux look in other languages? What does this look like?
Another, good JavaScript testing.
Because JavaScript testing, looks easy at first, and then when you get into UI testing with the front end framework, it gets a little messy looking, where you have to like mount a module and you have to like create a div and then append like a React component to that div or something. It's weird. I haven't done it in React in a while since my current job. I'm mostly working with Angular, but yeah, it can look overwhelming, but you know, once you realize that it's all the same, it'll click.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that click. I'm still waiting for that click.
It'll come, Lex. I promise.
It didn't click for me until I had been working for a while. Like some things literally won't. It's about making things work and being the one that can make it work without knowing how it works. That means you're a good software engineer.
I mean, that's me most of the time. I'm like, oh, it works, but please don't ask me how or why, because it just works and I don't know. But I worry because I'm like, I feel like, you know, now that we're on our last week of the program, and I'm like, when is this click moment supposed to happen that everybody talks about?
Not in the class. That's for sure. Every day on the job, like steaming milk. If you work at in a coffee shop, if you just if you do it every day, you're just going to learn whether you like it or not. And that's how it works with this stuff.
Well, that makes me feel a little better.
You will have days even. I mean, I'm 2+ years in, and you'll have days where you're like, damn, I'm good. And then days where you're like, I know nothing. And that is just normal. So
Okay.
Yeah, you'll feel galaxy brain sometimes by fixing things and comprehending it, but other times I was using like the reduce method without knowing what it did for a while. I would just copy and paste it from Stack Overflow or Platform. I did not know how it worked until I dove in a little deeper.
Yeah. The documentation starts to make more sense over time. And then you're like, oh, I don't have to just copy and paste it. I can make it my own. Yeah, it happens eventually. Justin, do you still need another winner?
Do. I need a winner.
Do you just want to pick randomly? Don't make me pick.
Oh, I know. You don't want the pressure. Chase Graffio. Woohoo.
Congrats, Chase. Oh, this little guy.
Thank you. This, I don't know if you can hear me, but this is my son.
Oh, hey.
What's up, kid?
We all can have a nice meal on Trend Micro.
$25.
$25.
Hey, he'll enjoy it.
Awesome.
Always is like 4 meals for me. That's sick.
I think it's probably more like 20 for him.
It goes for Taco Bell.
Hey, Chase, can you get that email real fast in the chat?
Yes. Yeah.
The chat that Jennifer called Slack.
Did I call it that?
That's what I was.
Yeah.
No, I'm the race confused. I'm like, throw it in the Slack.
Oh.
Yeah, my bad. Everything's Slack to me.
I was like, do I need to open the Slack? Because I don't have the Slack open right now. I do have the Slack, and it's on my phone where I can actually check it when people talk to me. Somebody sent me a message, and I wasn't even checking it.
I just sent it to everyone.
Hey, and does anybody here get into infrastructure or AWS or doing anything cloud? Because I'm friends with the two guys, and we're merging the groups. We do a great AWS meetup. It's usually like every Thursday, the Thursday before this meeting usually, and we're starting to get some good attendance. And because of my company, we work so much with AWS, we're actually getting AWS people to join and give their expertise. And I swear to God, I'm a salesperson, and I can do this stuff. So you guys are developers. You won't even need operations. Like, it's so freaking easy.
Yeah, I'd love to be a part of that. I work with AWS a little bit, and I just in the middle of this talk, I interviewed for a job that was mostly AWS based. So I would love to, get into that a little more.
Issue the guys the meetup group, and you can join it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, we're trying to, and I'm the only sponsor, and I'm the least salesperson ever on the face of the planet. But somehow I get my number doing that because I'm not annoying. But yeah, we're really cool. It's just all about tech, fostering tech. We want people to learn it, use AWS, and that's the one, Birmingham AWS. Just give Jeremy a few minutes to authenticate you and get you on, and then he's really good about updating the topics. I think next week we're going to have AWS speak on some of the AI machine learning that they already have built in because they're monitoring all those companies, Netflix, and then tiny companies that are using their stuff. They've got all that metadata, and then they have products where you can leverage the metadata to start analyzing data sets that you have. And maybe going to do some kind of big AI data lake machine learning thing if anybody's into data.
Mhm.
Cool.
Awesome.
But we're doing everything. Everything's gonna be like executive, hands-on labs. Like the last one was hands-on labs for Amazon workspaces. Before that, it was the architecture framework, and before that, BBVA about tagging. Tagging is very important in the Amazon infrastructure to keep stuff. But you guys have never heard of Lambda? Use Lambda. You'll never need your operations team again. It's server as a service. It's crazy simple and it's super cheap. There's a company that I'm doing training with right now called a Cloud Guru. They host about 1 million students a month, and their compute bill is $500 because of all the next gen stuff they're leveraging from Amazon.
Wow.
The job I just interviewed for was it is the first project I would be working on is migrating legacy code and from a monolithic kind of deal to serverless kind of AWS Lambda deal.
Containers, any kind of containerization, little mix with some ECS possibly.
Mm-hmm. The only containers I've messed with before really is Docker, and I know that there's a lot.
Like de facto.
Yeah, there's a lot more you can do with AWS. I'd really be interested in learning and joining that meetup.
Yep. And so just join, and he's gonna get the topic out for next week, and then we're hoping to just really drive it, and kind of like this Trend Micro, we're all about securing the cloud and helping developers be secure and get security into your development process as soon as possible. So we do have code that you can put in, so you can do your RASP and WAPs and kind of stuff in your build process, so you don't have to deal with security, and it's all in there the way you kind of like it. See,
well, I use Trend Micro, so I'm a supporter.
Largest cybersecurity company in the world.
And a great culture.
Oh my God, they're taking care. If you care about how companies treat people, Eva said we run a tight ship. We're not throwing anybody off of it. They're actually giving us more money right now to make sure we're okay, and that we're still hiring. So,
oh, you guys are hiring.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah. And it's great. So our CEO, Eva Chen, she was one of the original 3 founders, and Steve Chang, the other founder, he's on the board. Like they're Taiwanese, but we're headquartered in Japan. But it's employees first, your family, and then the community, and then they care about the shareholder. Completely opposite from America.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Justin, for that. And we'll see you next time.
And Jeremy, can you shoot me that link? I lost my internet on my computer, so I can't copy and paste it on my phone.
Slacking it to you right now, buddy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Y'all have a good afternoon. Thank you again for the time.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Y'all have a wonderful one.
Let's see.